JD Vance says Iran talks are advancing, including inspections, de-escalation and the Strait of Hormuz security. Technical talks between the US and Iran are taking place today in Switzerland. And Egypt secures the first ever World Cup win, beating New Zealand 3-1. It's 7 p.m. here in Cairo. You're watching Q News. I'm Henny Saif, and in the news today, US Vice President JD Vance has said progress was made in high-level talks with Iran, highlighting agreements to keep the Strait of Hormuz open and establish mechanisms to prevent escalation in regional conflicts. He said Tehran has agreed to allow international nuclear inspectors back into the country, describing it as a key step towards addressing Iran's nuclear program. Vance added that technical negotiations will continue in the coming days and weeks, involving multiple regional partners. He noted progress on managing frozen Iranian assets to ensure funds support the Iranian people rather than financing instability. He also said coordination mechanisms were established to reduce tensions in Lebanon and to support regional de-escalation efforts.
We're actually talking to each other and figuring out how to stop the shooting, how to make the region safer.
Iranian media reports that technical talks between Tehran and Washington are taking place today in Switzerland, focusing on implementing the recently agreed Memorandum of Understanding. The Iranian delegation is led by Deputy Foreign Minister and includes political, economic and legal experts. Discussions are centered on establishing working groups tasked with monitoring and executing the provisions of the agreement with the United States. Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has announced the successful conclusion of the first high-level committee meeting between Washington and Tehran. In a post on X, he said the discussions made progress on a roadmap towards a final agreement within 60 days. Sharif confirmed the establishment of a senior oversight committee to guide the political process and launch a new round of technical negotiations. He stressed Pakistan's continued role in supporting dialogue and diplomacy aimed at achieving a peaceful and lasting resolution between both sides. Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Mohammad Ishaq Dar has praised Washington and Tehran for their continued commitment to dialogue and diplomacy, following progress on implementing the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding. In a post on X, he said Pakistan welcomes substantial advances achieved in high-level technical talks in Bergenstock in Switzerland, and expressed appreciation for the leadership of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and the country's military command. Dar also thanked the United States and Iran for their constructive engagement, along with Qatar's mediation role. He confirmed that Pakistan's foreign ministry team will remain engaged in technical-level discussions throughout the week, reaffirming Islamabad's commitment to promoting lasting peace and regional stability. Earlier, Qatar and Pakistan have confirmed the conclusion of the first round of high-level talks held in Switzerland under the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding. In a joint statement, they said discussions were positive and constructive, with encouraging progress, including the creation of a mechanism to continue technical-level negotiations. Both sides agreed to establish a senior committee to provide political oversight of the mediation process, with regular reports from lead negotiators. They also agreed to form a coordination cell aimed at de-escalating conflicts, including in Lebanon, and showing adherence to commitments to halt military operations. Technical talks will continue throughout the week in Bürgenstock on all outstanding issues. And for more on this, we now move to Salma Al-Fei in our newsroom. Salma.
Thank you, Haney. And for further analysis, we're joined from London by the research scholar at the University of Oxford and independent political risk analyst, Mr. Muhammad Ali Zawfer. Welcome to Qnews, sir. Sir, let me ask you, how significant is the reported progress in the US-Iran talks, particularly regarding the Strait of Hormuz and regional de-escalation mechanisms?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I think it's a really important development what is happening, and I think the best thing that we were expecting was that there will be no irritant that will cause derail in the whole process. So I think it's a positive development that finally both states are moving towards the right direction, which is the start of this technical talk. And definitely there is a 60 days period window that exists regarding solving these issues, and which could extend as well. But the positive development is that though two states who were not willing to talk to each other for several years, they had JCPOA, then they left, the US left it, and finally, negotiation efforts have been started, which is a positive development, and we all should welcome it.
Would you be able to tell us what does Iran's reported agreement to allow the international nuclear inspectors back into the country maybe indicate about the direction of its nuclear policy?
Well, in international politics, there's a scholar named Robert Jervis who famously wrote about nuclear deterrence, asking that signaling is very important in international politics, especially from a nuclear angle as well. So I think in that regard, this decision to allow IAEA to inspect Iranian nuclear facility is a very positive development. It will de-escalate the situation as well as improve the situation in terms of signaling from Iran side as well that it is actually winning, and it is showing compliance with international standards about the nuclear requirements that have been set forth in the agreement. So it's a really positive development, and we hope that this continues.
And do you think these technical negotiations in Switzerland realistically translate the political understandings maybe into a durable and enforceable agreement, do you think?
Well, a month ago, if you were asking me the same question as well, it may have seemed a lot difficult as well. But that's how diplomacy works. And finally, we are here with both states are willing to talk and moving forward in the right direction. Something they were in search of for decades. So I believe, and we all should remain hopeful that this will lead to some lasting solutions. Yes, there will be challenges. For instance, the statement by Donald Trump that was not seen positive by the Iranian delegation, and similarly, there could be other challenges. For instance, the statements coming from Israel. But overall, I believe that both sides really want to negotiate and are on the right track to find a lasting solution. So yes, indeed, these technical negotiations could realistically translate political understanding between two sides.
Mr. Zawfer, how important do you think is the role of the third-party mediators like Pakistan and Qatar in bridging the trust gaps between Washington and Tehran?
Well, Qatar and Pakistan have experience in terms of helping great powers engage with each other's and normal middle powers and small powers to engage with the US as well. So both sides are experienced when it comes to negotiations, and I think they are the right fit for this job. And I believe that they will be able to understand how to manage the nerves on both sides. And this is exactly what we witnessed as well when yesterday we saw images coming out where Iranian delegation was didn't shake hands in front of camera with the US delegations, and the images that came out showed that the mediators took an active role to convince each other to talk to each other. So that showed that these two are really important players, and they have the capacity and the will to make sure to do all that is possible that these two states keep on talking to each other.
Mm-hmm. Sir, we have some breaking news right now where the Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Ghalibaf is heading to Oman. What could be the main objectives behind the Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Ghalibaf's visit to Oman, do you think?
Well, definitely it will be discussions about the Strait of Hormuz. There must be some development that must be in place. And recently, if we see the news, Donald Trump made a really hawkish statement saying that he will attack Iran if the Strait of Hormuz is closed. So I think in that regard, there must be some sort of an understanding being reached between Oman and Iran. And there are some speculations about joint working mechanism between Oman and Iran regarding how the Strait of Hormuz should work. So definitely there will be work in this regard. And the other possibility is about the transfer of the release of the frozen fund. So I think in that regard there could be some discussion that could be happening as well.
What indication do you think does the proposed 60-day roadmap suggest about the urgency and the feasibility of reaching a final settlement?
Well, 60 days does not show any urgency. Rather, it shows that both sides are acting mature and they understand that these technical details require a lot of efforts. For instance, IAEA has to go to Iran. They have to inspect. There will be, some concerns about maybe the exact situation on ground that may change as well. So I think in that regard, there is a lot of efforts, technical expertise of United Nations and IAEA will be involved. Then Qataris and Pakistanis are going to work around each other. That how can they, cater to the needs of each other as well. Then definitely there is already an ongoing conflict in Lebanon as well. So in that regard, they understand that 60 days is a good margin for both states. But definitely, I believe personally that it could improve it could increase as well, like can convert into a 3 months or a 4 month process as well. So what is important is that the process has been started, and we should remain hopeful that it leads to some lasting peace in Middle East, which is much needed.
Yeah. And how might the coordination mechanisms on Lebanon and the frozen Iranian assets reshape, do you think, the regional power dynamics and the conflict risks?
Well, first of all, I'll answer your questions about the frozen asset. I think that will build trust within Iranian delegations, from Iranian delegations' point of view, regarding U.S. actual seriousness towards the talk, because this is exactly some of the understanding being reached between the U.S. and Iran regarding the unfreezing of the frozen assets. So I think there will be, as part of the delegation as well, there are members from the Iranian central bank as well, showcasing that there will be some signaling that some funds to be transferred in a specific time period. There must be definitely a margin be set that you will do one step, we will take this another step. So I think that is important. Regarding the Lebanon issue, that is one specific area where I'm still concerned, because the statements that are coming out of Israel, and recently the statement that JD Vance made regarding Israel, saying that you should smell the room and actually understand the situation where there is only one state who actually supports you right now at the moment. That shows that there could be some sort of reaction from Israel that could really derail the process as well, especially when Israel's national security minister is saying, giving statements that Lebanon must burn. So that is a really important point, and the world should actually see that there exists a state who is making such hawkish statements.
And do you think these developments, might they represent a genuine strategic shift in the U.S.-Iran relations, or do you think they're just still fragile, reversible understandings?
Well, the process of negotiations, the positive thing about them is that you can never expect that something comes out of the blue. But the other reality is that the process can get, it can be whitewashed as well within seconds as well, if both sides feel that they do not trust each other. But what is important is that if there will be process, and there might be news coming maybe in a week or in 2 weeks, that there are still misunderstandings, but that's how negotiation works. And finally, there will be some way forward, because what they have reached for now, and the most important thing is that Iran has agreed to US demand about nuclear technology. So I think that was the most important aspect. Other factors are just secondary.
Well, we just have some breaking news once again, where the Fars news agency cites sources reporting that there is no truth to claims that Iran has accepted the return of the International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors. How significant do you think is this denial in the context of the ongoing Iran-US nuclear negotiations, and could it affect the momentum of the recent diplomatic progress, do you think?
Well, see, in international politics, states have an audience cost attached to themselves. The US has to show to its audience that it is the one who actually, made the best deal, and Iranians also have to showcase the same thing as well. So I think that from that point of view, media signaling is one way to showcase to their own people as well that we are not acting weak, we are in a strong position, are not agreeing to certain things. But the reality is that if Iran has actually agreed with US demand about no nuclear to nuclear technology to be acquired by Iran or no in that regard. So I think the first most important step is to allow IAEA to inspect those areas. So definitely this is for now the proposal given by US, and definitely IAEA and Iran both have to give a response to US. For now they have not given a response, and that's why a signal like this has been given. But the reality is that technically as well they still have to give a response to the US. So these are just media tactics that are being used by states, and every single state does it. So which is not something of an anomaly.
Yeah. And from London, that was Mr. Muhammad Ali Zafar, the research scholar at the University of Oxford and independent political risk analyst. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on Q News. And now we go back to Hani Saif in our studio. Hani.
Thank you, Salma. We now move on to Lebanon, where the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said the Israeli forces will remain in the security zone in southern Lebanon for as long as necessary to protect northern communities. He stressed that the Israeli army has full operational freedom to counter any present or emerging threats across the border. Netanyahu added that he and the defense minister have issued clear instructions to the military, reaffirming continued deployment in southern Lebanon and rejecting any withdrawal. He said the operation is essential for national security and for safeguarding residents in Israel's north, with full political and public backing for the armed forces. Egypt has emphasized support for Lebanese state institutions, particularly the army, to enforce sovereignty and stability. That came as Egypt's foreign minister met his Lebanese counterpart on the sidelines of the Arab League Council meeting in Jordan. Both sides stressed the importance of strengthening relations across all sectors. Egypt reiterated full solidarity with Lebanon, firmly rejecting any violation of its sovereignty or territorial integrity. Cairo also called for full implementation of UN Security Council Resolution 1701, demanding an immediate and complete Israeli withdrawal from Lebanese territory and an end to military operations. Lebanon's foreign minister expressed appreciation for Egypt's diplomatic backing. The Egyptian Armed Forces reports that law enforcement troops, in coordination with the Ministry of Interior, have launched a large-scale security operation in the southern military zone, targeting multiple criminal hotspots used by organized networks. Now, the Egyptian Armed Forces spokesperson said that the networks were involved in drug and arms trafficking, illegal gold mining, and irregular migration, posing direct threats to national security, economic stability, and development efforts. Raids resulted in the arrest of suspects, including 87 Egyptians and 136 foreign nationals, alongside the seizure of vehicles, communication devices, cash, unlicensed weapons, ammunition, and equipment used in illegal mining operations. Illegal entrants without residency documents were also detained. Authorities referred all suspects and seized materials to the relevant judicial bodies. Some irregular entrants voluntarily surrendered and were repatriated. Security forces continued operations to dismantle criminal hubs and safeguard Egypt's borders and stability. In a landmark night at the FIFA World Cup, Egypt produced a stunning comeback 3-1 victory over New Zealand to secure their first ever win in the tournament's history. Elsewhere, Spain delivered a dominant 4-0 triumph over Saudi Arabia, while crucial group stage clashes continue shaping the race for the knockout rounds. Salma Fi'i has the latest from the World Cup. Salma.
Thank you, Haney. And Egypt made history in Vancouver with a 3-1 comeback win over New Zealand, claiming their first ever FIFA World Cup victory after nearly a century of participation. New Zealand led through Finn Surman, but Egypt responded after the break. Mustafa Ziko equalized in the 58th minute before Mohamed Salah put Egypt ahead in the 67th. Substitute Mahmoud Hassan Trezeguet sealed the win in the 82nd minute, and the result sends Egypt top of the Group G on 4 points ahead of Belgium and Iran, putting them close to round of 32 qualification. Egypt now faces Iran on the 27th of June, needing a result to progress. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has congratulated the Egyptian national football team following a historic milestone marking what he described as Egypt's first ever World Cup victory in its participation history. In a statement on social media, the Egyptian president praised the team's performance, calling it honorable and reflective of the determination, resilience, and perseverance of the Egyptian people. President el-Sisi said the achievement represents a strong and promising start on the international stage, urging continued confidence and ambition to elevate Egypt's global standing in future competitions. And Egypt was swept into jubilant scenes after a landmark 3-1 comeback victory over New Zealand delivered its first ever FIFA World Cup win in Vancouver.
Egyptian fans erupted in celebration, marking what is being hailed as Egypt's first ever FIFA World Cup victory after a dramatic 3-1 comeback win over New Zealand in a key Group G encounter in Vancouver. The streets and stadium surroundings turned into a sea of red, white and black as supporters gathered after the final whistle. Fans sang, danced, beat drums, and waved national flags, capturing a jubilant atmosphere that lasted well into the night. The historic win saw Egypt overturn a first-half deficit with renewed energy and attacking precision after the break. Head coach Houssam Hassan delivered the fiery halftime message, demanding a winning response for the proud supporters, a move that sparked a powerful turnaround on the pitch. Egypt captain Mohamed Salah led the charge, contributing a goal and an assist, underlining his enduring influence on the international stage. The result places Egypt at the top of Group G with 4 points after 2 matches, following a 1-1 draw with Belgium in their opener. With qualification hopes rising, fans now look ahead with optimism to the final group fixture against Iran in Seattle. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi congratulated the national team, praising their determination, resilience, and spirit, calling the victory a historic milestone that reflects the strength and ambition of the Egyptian people and a promising step forward on the world stage.
And we now go back again to Hani Saif in our studio. Hani.
Thank you, Salma. Ladies and gentlemen, these are all the news we have for now. But before we go, let's take a look at the top headlines making news this hour. JD Vance says Iran talks are advancing, including inspections, de-escalation and Strait of Hormuz security. Technical talks between the US and Iran are taking place today in Switzerland. And Egypt secures the first ever World Cup win, beating New Zealand 3-1. That concludes this hour's Q News Bulletin. We will continue to follow the latest regional and international developments as they unfold. Stay with us for in-depth coverage, analysis, and breaking updates across all platforms. I'm Hani Saif. Thank you for joining us.